I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner. Here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
The latest numbers show the unemployment rate in northeastern Minnesota at its lowest level in 7 years. Our guests will delve into the real-world jobs behind the statistics.
The Healthy Duluth Coalition unveiled new signage in downtown Duluth today that will help visitors and locals walk their way to area attractions.
And we'll have an update on the week's business news and look back to a story making headlines 25 years ago.
It's all up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. Julie, good to be back after that 4th of July break we took.
And a beautiful 4th of July it was. I hope you had a good time.
Oh, had a great time at the lake and hard to come back in, really.
It is a little bit.
All right, well, economic news leads our program this week, so why not tell us about it?
All right, I will. Thanks, Denny. The latest unemployment figures from Minnesota's Department of Employment and Economic Development paint an improving jobs picture for our region. Duluth's jobless rate dropped to 5% in May, while the Twin Ports area of Carlton, St. Louis, and Douglas counties combined for a 5.5% unemployment rate. That's the lowest number since 2007, a sign of the improving economy. Joining us to analyze the numbers is Tony Barrett, Professor of Economics at the College of St. Scholastica, and Ron Brochu is the publisher of BusinessNorth. And thanks for being here for our mid-year check on the economy. It's always good to have you.
It's great to be here.
Tony, it looks like we finally kind of clawed our way from the abyss of the recession. Is that a
sort of
fair assessment?
Yeah. I mean, the unemployment rate's down. What I look at is the number of jobs and the labor force participation rate. And Duluth is paralleling something that's happening in this country, and that the number of people who are actually in the labor force is much lower than it has been. In fact, nationwide, we're down to the levels we haven't seen since the 70s. So some of that's demographic, you know, people retiring, but some of that is people have left the labor force, and that's a mystery.
Yeah.
What do you think is driving it?
I think it's a bunch of little factors. I think given the severity of the recession, we did see millions of people apply for Social Security disability. They've gotten it.
Sure.
They're not coming back to work. But we see this with college kids. There's some kids who graduate, they go live at home, and they don't really get a job. And they're not part of the labor force. Sooner or later, they will be.
Sure.
I mean, let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
But we're losing a lot of productivity by these people not being in the labor force.
5% unemployment, that's almost...
That's nice.
But has it ever been lower here?
I don't know about up here. I know nationwide it's got to be 3.9% in the late 60s. So,
Ron, talk about some of the places where there actually are jobs being created locally.
Well, right now there are a lot of construction jobs. There are, let's see what other industries. Well, education is still high. The public sector, retail is doing well, hospitality.
Overall, what is the Northland's economy? Are we doing pretty good?
yeah, pretty good. That's a good way to put it.
Okay,
We're doing pretty good.
pretty
We're
good.
not doing great. You know, the taconite industry is doing fine. Not great because the demand for steel's
Sure.
fine, but not great. And I think that's true pretty much every industry. You ask the store managers up and down the Miller Hill, area, and they're all saying, yeah, it's pretty good. We're not setting records, but we're doing fine.
But quite well.
And you hear that over and over again. No one's thrilled, no one's being overwhelmed, but there's no one real worried about the future.
Are they hiring?
Well, some are. I mean, that's why the unemployment rate is going down. We have gotten back to the same number of jobs we had
Yes.
since
Are
before
we
the recession.
beyond that or not really?
A little bit above,
Okay,
but not
right.
not a whole lot. So we've recovered that. So some people have been hiring. You don't hear about hiring. Layoffs happen in chunks and they get headlines. But hiring is done, a person here, a couple people there, and it's just not as dramatic. It's very incremental.
Ron, any soft spots that you see in the economy that cause you concern?
I think maybe down the road, mining there could be some problems in mining. There's a lot of overcapacity worldwide. Just recently, U.S. Steel did a layoff temporary at some pipe manufacturing plants. And there's a lot of foreign steel on the market, and there's a lot of mining going on in places like Australia.
What about the SR Steel project?
That is a
ever
story.
going to get done?
It has to. They've spent way too much money to stop now. But you know, they have financing problems,
They do.
obviously. But this is a worldwide steel company. It's really kind of mind-boggling that it's just come to a stop a couple times, and they haven't been making payments to their contractors and stuff. It has to be built. I mean, they've sunk almost $400 million. I
lot
believe,
of money.
is the number in it. That's there. You can't walk away from that. I can't imagine.
Is the financing there, though, to finish it?
They probably will find a way. They just issued some bonds recently, and there's a little glitch on that front. But you know, if and when they do open, and they probably will, this is going to raise the bar for the whole industry. They're going to have a brand new plant, and everyone else will operate less efficient than Esser. So everyone else is going to have a challenge when they open up.
Where locally are jobs being created, or are new jobs not being created? We're just picking up what we once had?
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer and the details. I just look at the company I work for, College of St. Scholastica, and we're doing that. We're replacing people. Some people retire, we replace them. You add a little here, you add a little there. But there's no real initiatives. The biggest employment initiatives here are the construction, the new
Yes.
Maurice's building. When they start tearing up Superior Street, that's going to be a pain in the neck for most people. It's going to be great jobs for some people. And you're seeing the construction, you're seeing the most growth right now.
And a lot of that, though, is really seasonal, and it's also just because the project is there. Once the project's done, those jobs are gone.
Well, you hope something else comes on after that. Maybe the development down at the Lafarge, is that it? Maybe that actually happens. And you hope to. You have these big projects, and you're right, they don't repeat, but you hope to roll them.
Sure.
You build the deck, you expand the deck, you do
Understandable.
this,
Yeah.
and hopefully that keeps your industry going.
Ron?
There also are a lot of engineering jobs that are being filled in the Duluth area, perhaps driven by Enbridge. They've constantly expanded.
Yeah.
They have a lot of pipeline work in the plans. I don't know if they're moving some of that from Houston to this area, but they are becoming a major
Yeah.
presence.
They recently had a job fair.
Yeah, and those are good jobs. Those are the jobs people have always wanted to say, wanted us to develop. The jobs for the college graduates who want to live up here and not move back to the cities.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a bright spot, and to some extent the aeronautics.
You bring up a good spot. What should college people be studying today?
Well, our industry's taken such a beating in the press, but if you read the studies that have come out, a liberal arts degree is the best investment of your money. You can get a technical degree like nursing or something like that and get a job, yes, but then you're going to be a nurse, and it's hard to move up. It's the liberal arts majors who get that entry-level job at Target, at Enbridge, but they have the skills that allows them to move much higher. So the rate of the payoff, the rate of return on your investment in a liberal arts degree is the highest of almost all majors.
And yet you hear some people say a liberal arts degree is meaningless today.
Because you can't get that obvious job. Well, what does a historian do? When people ask me that all the time. Well, what can I do with an economics degree? And I say, well, you can do anything. You can get a job, and then you can get promoted because you think better than most people.
That's good for me to hear as a parent of a daughter who just graduated with an economics degree.
Yeah, I mean, that's great.
UMD had some good information this week coming out in terms of their placements for 2012, 2013. It sounds like lots of folks are finding jobs and staying right here in Minnesota.
I think for our senior class, it was the best year since 2007.
Really?
Education majors getting jobs here in town, because our public school system is hiring again. In general, this was, back in 2008, it was depressing talking to seniors. People who had done all the right things, and there just weren't jobs.
Ron, how's the local housing industry doing? Any projections there?
There is not a lot of new housing going up the way there was before the recession. existing homes are selling better than they were, but
the new starts aren't there.
right, and that in part might be because it's a very expensive risk to build on spec without a buyer, and you got to put down $250,000 for each home or more, so that's not happening quite yet.
The rebound in prices is important because that's restoring the wealth for a lot of middle class people, and hopefully then that makes them a little more confident about spending.
What about the minimum wage increase? Because there was a lot of debate as the legislature was talking about this, the potential impact on employment and whether companies were going to be cutting jobs because of this. Are you hearing anything out as you're talking to businesses that is happening, or any effect at all?
I think it's too early. It's a staged increase, and the predictions are that companies will find ways to be more efficient and use less bodies and more electronics, like say an electronic ordering station at a restaurant, but it's really too early to tell.
Duluth was named the best outdoor city recently. Is that
Well,
you think that's going to bring
that's a
folks in?
national magazine, and people, certainly my friends from around the country, they think we live on the Arctic Circle. And how can you live in Duluth? So something like this is the people who visit Duluth have to be just happy as pigs in slop. I mean, it's just wonderful piece of news. I mean, what better marketing?
Yeah.
What are you hearing about tourism so far?
I know what I'm seeing. Our office is in downtown Duluth, and it is just busier than busy. One interesting little fact, the ice caves last winter brought a lot of people to the Ashland area who had never been there before, and now they're starting to see these same folks coming back saying, boy, I'd like to see this in the summer.
Really?
It's something they didn't know about, and it's driving a lot of business right now.
Is the future bright enough to keep high school and college graduates in the Twin Ports?
In my opinion, yes. And part demographics, there's people retiring now and opening up jobs. Yeah, I think so. I think Duluth is growing. Really, in the last 5 years, Duluth seems to have gotten over a hump. The downtown development, some of our companies are growing. Enbridge coming in. I mean, that's huge. Yes, I think certainly I've lived here 25 years, and this is the most optimistic I would be for the young people here.
You just answered my next question. Is reason for optimism?
And I'm an economist, so
Cautiously optimistic.
All right, well, on that high note, we're going to have to end the segment, but thanks so much for coming in and sharing some good news and insight. Appreciate
Ron,
it.
Tony, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
Independent Air Incorporated, an international charter airline which is now stopping at the Duluth International Airport. The charters originate in Los Angeles and Oakland, California, and are bound for Paris, France. But before they get there, they need to stop for refueling, food, and a new crew. So what better place than Duluth, Minnesota? The stops mean big money for airport services like North Country Aviation, which is supplying the jet fuel. This 186-passenger Boeing 707 needed over 15,000 gallons today.
We hope that if it continues, we'll be looking at adding maybe 5 or 10 new jobs.
Because they don't know how much they've drank from LA coming here.
So they'll know as soon as we get on there.
Afterburner Incorporated is providing food and drink. They expect to serve about 14,000 meals during the 48-flight schedule. Those meals cost $5 a piece, so that adds up to over $70,000 in business. Airport officials are hoping good service will mean more charters.
Minneapolis has 6,500 charters a year, and they're at a point where, they may not be able to take too many more, so we're looking forward to possibly getting some of that traffic.
2 more chartered flights are scheduled to land in Duluth tomorrow, and those stops will continue intermittently through September 7th. Lisa Molosky, KDLH News.
New signs unveiled in downtown Duluth today will tell visitors where to go to see area attractions on foot. A partnership of the Healthy Duluth Area Coalition and the Greater Downtown Council, Walk Duluth, will make the city easier to navigate for walkers. Now, besides saving money for cab fare or gasoline, the added benefit is a healthier population. And joining us with more is Lisa Luokkala, director of the Healthy Duluth Area Coalition, and Russell Habermann worked on the Walk Duluth project in his internship with the Healthy Duluth Area Coalition. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for being here. Lisa, are people ready to park their cars and go for a walk?
I think so, on a beautiful day. You know, we had a couple beautiful days for sidewalk days and the streets were packed.
They were.
And, you know, it was a great time for us to launch this initiative during sidewalk days where people have an opportunity to explore downtown in a new and different way.
So Russell, as an intern, you had an opportunity to really kind of be in on the ground floor of this new initiative. Talk about Walk Duluth and what it is.
Well, Walk Duluth is an initiative to bring walking signage to downtown Duluth. And it really is trying to help people find the amenities in the city that they may not know are there, or maybe they've visited multiple times and they just need a different perspective on it. Like, they can park their car somewhere else and walk there instead of just parking right in front of it. So it's really it helps both businesses and individuals because it has benefits to both, really.
Now I imagine that people may be surprised to find what's within a 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
You know, can you kind of give some examples of like how far a 10-minute walk in Duluth can take you from X to X?
Sure. Well, I mean, in our downtown, we're lucky. I mean, you can walk almost anywhere in 10 minutes. And I think Superior Street has this very long corridor feeling that can kind of feel a little arduous when you're on it and you're like, oh, I'll just hop in my car and drive to the other side. And so we're kind of debunking the myth of how long it takes to get places. And Russell probably could offer some examples.
Yeah. I think one of the signs says it's 10 minutes by foot from the Superior Street and Lake Avenue crossing by Pizza Luce there to the Fitgers complex. So I mean, when you think about it,
definitely something that a lot of people would hop in their car and drive down.
But really it's very manageable to go by foot.
It almost looks like, and I think these people bear it out who we see on the screen now, it almost looks like Duluth was built to be a walking city, at least the downtown, perhaps Superior Street and maybe up to First Street. I mean, you've got flower pots up and down the main street, you've got the trees on Superior Street, you've got a skywalk system which was built for walking. So it's kind of a popular place without maybe us even taking advantage of what we have.
Definitely.
Now we know it.
And I mean,
it's always good to have a healthy reminder. You know, that's what these
and I
signs are
mean,
about.
on foot, it's a very different perspective. I mean, you can take in more sights. You can discover things that you may not even know were there. So,
Are the businesses downtown excited about this? Because anytime you get foot traffic, of course, that's got to be good news for businesses who have storefronts.
Yeah. Last summer, we conducted a business perception survey with the Greater Downtown Council, another partnership with them, and surveyed and talked to about 75 of their members downtown, asking them about perceptions of walking, bicycling, and those amenities that kind of draw people not to loiter but to linger on the street. We weren't sure what those results of that survey were going to be, and overwhelmingly folks wanted to see more initiatives that supported pedestrians and bicyclists.
Lisa and Russ, there have been 4 different destinations that have been outlined in Walk Duluth, starting with maybe civic or public buildings. Can you kind of outline them a little bit and let the folks at home now know what those 4 different destinations are?
absolutely. So there are civic destinations, so that includes everything from memorials downtown to maybe public art installations to the Civic Center. Also, historic destinations are also part of it, so you can look at the old Central High School to Sacred Heart Music Center. We are very blessed to have so many down there.
Yeah.
Also, as a commercial, restaurants and shops, which we highlight, as well as green space,
Yeah.
parks, trails,
Yeah.
and we have a ton of those too, so it's a really great project.
And everything is color coded.
Yes,
So,
yes.
So it's kind of designed to make it easy for folks?
Yeah, and just they pop against sort of, you know, the brick downtown. So they're supposed to stand out, catch people's eyes, and just kind of think about their community in a little bit different way. My favorite sign personally is we have your 2-minute walk to a view of the lake. Because when you're on Superior Street, sometimes you forget that you can just hop right on into Lake Place Park and have this really panoramic view of Lake Superior.
And I would imagine that people from North Dakota would be downtown saying, I want to see the lake, I want to see the lake, and they're 2 minutes away, let's go see it.
Yes, yeah. So we're hoping to make some of those connections as well to, some underutilized or forgotten spaces in our community. Lake Place Park is one of them, where a lot of folks, especially from out of town, you don't even know that park exists. So drawing people off of Superior Street to catch those views, and then drawing people from the Lake Walk and Canal Park up into the main strip.
So are all the signs up now? How many of them? Where do people find them?
Well, half of them are up right now, and they're all along Superior Street. There are 35 installed signs right now. And in the coming weeks, by the end of July, we hope to install the rest of them, which is 35 along the Lake Walk, along First Street, as well as in Canal Park.
Wonderful.
So, it seems like a pretty simple initiative. Was it costly to pull this all together, and where'd the money come from?
Well, I mean, with projects like this, it's mostly just time intensive. We had to go out and map these sites and kind of determine lengths and distances, and work with the GDC to determine, what we want to highlight as part of that story. So that's a lot of legwork, and we're lucky to have interns like Russell who are able to help with that. And so our support was mostly from Blue Cross Blue Shield Center Prevention, as well as the Duluth Endowment Fund. So Duluth Legacy Endowment Fund,
So there's also a healthy aspect to getting out and walking and not driving wherever you go downtown.
Well, Healthy Duluth, we're really about looking at how your health is influenced by the design of city, streets, your access to healthy food. And so this fits right in there, just kind of encouraging people to walk. When we were kind of pulling together this initiative, Russell did some great research and pulled up some great kind of just like simple facts about walking. Do you want to tell them any of them?
Yeah, well, one of them is that walking every day can extend your life 1.5 to 2 years. Or actually, is it walking
every day every day that you walk, it extends your life by 1.5 to 2 minutes per time that you walk.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's pretty, extensive if you think about it.
In addition to that, I mean, it lowers cholesterol, it lowers body fat, and it's just great to stay active as you at any stage in life.
Is there any concern downtown that people getting out and walking will cut down on parking revenues, or is that not an issue?
No, I mean, I think that it's a win-win. A lot of folks are still going to be driving downtown. They're going to have to find a parking spot or park ramp. The city has invested heavily in some beautiful ramps, and so, getting people in there, if you're not running out to feed a meter or worried about getting a ticket, you're more likely to stay downtown and do a little bit more window shopping and maybe, get a bite to eat. So we're hoping that this initiative complements the other initiatives that are happening downtown.
And the downtown is relatively easy to get to from a whole lot of hotels in the city.
Yes. It's a great opportunity for visitors to experience our community. I mean, it's not the most obvious sometimes, with the hill and, that sort of thing. It's not the most obvious to know where some of these like historic landmarks and things are. And we sure have some beautiful historic landmarks that we should.
Lisa and Russell, thank you very much for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you.
it's time for the week's business headlines from the folks at Business North. Hedstrom Lumber of Grand Marais is celebrating its centennial this month with a series of events. Andrew Hedstrom and his wife Alma Berglund Hedstrom began sawing lumber on the banks of the Devil Track River in July 1914. It is now owned by the fourth generation of Hedstroms. The company's story is told in photos and text in a new book that they have released entitled Sawdust in Their Blood.
Kestrel Aircraft's manufacturing future in Superior remains uncertain this summer. The company owners and Wisconsin economic developers are sorting out the details of a 30-month-old state financing package. Questions have emerged about a big chunk of the deal, $60 million, that local officials said 2 years ago would be provided by the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Agency. Today, officials of the state agency say they never committed the money. According to Kestrel CEO Alan Klappmeyer, the lack of seed money has greatly slowed the project and his ability to raise private funds.
After 39 years with St. Luke's, Joanne Hogue, Vice President of Regional Development and President of Lakeview Hospital in Two Harbors, has retired. A St. Luke's Vice President since 1997, she has overseen regional activities and legislative initiatives to enhance regional health care. Hogue became the interim president and CEO of Lakeview Hospital and Clinic in 2012 and was named officially to that position in 2013. She has served on more than 20 boards and currently chairs the Kitchigami Club board. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
Well, you can have the final word on this week's program. Dial 218-788-2849 and leave a message, or send your comments in an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. and visit our website for the latest program information or to catch up on the shows you have missed. And Julie, weekend is here again. I'm sure a lot of folks hoping for some sunshine.
That's right, but as most folks here know, we don't deserve 2 nice weekends in a row, so I wouldn't count on it.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Finally tonight, we're going to leave you with some video of historic World War II military airplanes that visited Superior this week. A B-17 Flying Fortress, B-24 Liberator, and a P-51 Mustang were in town as part of the Wings of Freedom tour. The authentically restored aircraft are 3 of just a handful of these planes still flying today. Visitors to the Bong Airport in Superior had a chance to tour the bombers or even go for a flight if they were willing to pay a few $100s for the opportunity. The tour honors our World War II vets and is a chance for young and old to see some living history. After a couple of days in Superior, the planes left for the Twin Cities this afternoon, so they had, I'm sure, a great time here. For Julie and the crew at Almanac North, have a great weekend, everybody, and be kind.